Hello and welcome back to the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast. I'm your host, Nick Parker. Liesl Hayes is out again this week. She vacations all the time. So weird. I don't understand these people. Quick reminder, our show, as always, is brought to the good people of Lee Summit by Budget Blinds of Lee Summit, your home for all your home decor needs. Good people running a good business. It's your home for signature series shades. And when you're ready, go see them. Tell them Nick and Liesl sent you. Back with me today is one of my favorite downtown friends, one of my favorite downtown places. I think I wanted to bring back a tradition. When the show first started way back in 2016, we started a deal where Seth Allen, owner of Libations and Company, would come on right before 4th of July, and we'd talk about our favorite things, which is what everybody does on Independence Day. They have a few cocktails.
Absolutely.
To celebrate America. So welcome back, Seth.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm glad to be back.
You were here last time right before 1909 Club opened.
Yep.
But I feel like we haven't done an Independence Day episode in a couple of years.
No, we've skipped over it. We've had a lot of new things happening. So
businesses grow, businesses change. We had to take a little bit of a hiatus, but I felt like you needed to come back on.
Yeah, oh sure.
Because the people need you to help them prepare to celebrate Independence Day.
You know, if you're going to do it right, if you're really going to look back at American history and follow in our, forefathers and mothers' footsteps, then you just got to get rip-roaring drunk.
What are those T-shirts I've seen that have Ben Franklin? It just says Ben Drinking.
Yeah, that's right.
I've told this story many times, but you actually supplied me with what has become a family tradition.
Yeah,
for me, which is the inaugural celebration punch from George Washington's inaugural party.
Yes,
and I make this now every year,
as you should.
It's how do you stumble on these things?
Like all things, I go down these rabbit holes on American history. I'm a history geek. I'll intend to go looking for information on one thing, and then 2 hours later I come up for air and I've learned about George Washington's inaugural party and what they drank and found all the recipes.
I feel like I do know that you are a history geek, and I'm not going to question that, but I feel like you go down many rabbit holes on the interwebs.
Oh man, I found the bottom of the interwebs, I'm sure.
I mean, how else do you find the bars that you've found to put into your joint? I mean,
there's only like 3 guys in the entire country that know how to actually know the history of these pre-prohibition bars and have the knowledge and know-how of how to restore them. And I don't think any 3 of them have internet access. I don't think they even know what the internet. I just somehow find them and then, pick their brains. So.
Well, let's clarify for people, because I not everybody knows really. I think maybe the cool stories that you have, and I know the first one goes back to your original space. You know, 2 doors down from your current space.
Yeah.
Ray Dean.
Oh yeah, Ray Dean.
Tell people about these bars, because they really are special.
They are. It's the heart and soul of a bar. If you go into a bar, I mean, the whole place is named after the bar, so what you're drinking on top of. Ray Dean, that was an adventure. 1937 Brunswick, 8-foot long bar that was in the basement of a house in the north side of Chicago. I found it on eBay because the lady who owned it and had owned it for 60 years, decided she wanted to remodel her basement, just for whimsy, I guess. I don't know. She had her daughter put it on eBay, thinking that maybe somebody might want this. And I had searched for years for this bar specifically, an 8-foot long Brunswick. And I called her and it was available. And I essentially threw every tool I had in my truck and grabbed a buddy, and we drove through the night to Chicago and got there at 7:30 in the morning and spent the whole day taking this thing apart and getting it up the stairs of a house that was built in the 30s in Chicago was an adventure, and getting it out of the house. Because if you've ever been in the north side of Chicago, which was this was my first time, the houses are built about 7 feet from each other, and this bar was 8 feet long. So,
Right.
so it was quite the adventure. But I brought her home and put her all back together, and for 3 years, she served as the bar at my original location, and people fell in love with it.
It was quite a change from the original bar, which was cool. But the original bar was a plank of wood over a couple barrels.
Which, if you watch shows like Deadwood or, any sort of, old Western, that was the original bar outside on the street with 2 barrels and a plank of wood, and they had a couple barrels bottles of whiskey, and they were selling shots. So, I guess I'm just following the footsteps of history as far as
you'll just evolve as
I'm evolving.
Right,
I'm
right,
evolving.
right.
And now we have a beautiful 24-foot Brunswick bar that came out of just outside of Chicago. It was originally in a hotel. But yeah, now she shines bright and everyone gets to enjoy her.
And her name?
We lovingly call her Marge, because the lady we bought it from, her name was Marge. Without her knowledge, we call the bar Large Marge. If you were a Pee Wee Herman fan in
Right.
the 80s, you'd get the reference.
Well, I love that Marge just fits. I mean, there might be half an inch between the ceiling and the top of that back bar.
It's just over an inch.
Is it?
Yeah, we had to remove ceiling tiles so we could stick our head up there in order to have enough room to put it in there. That was getting it installed was the crazy. That it was absolutely nutty. It took 7 grown men just to put this thing together, and we realized when we were putting it together that the bar itself, the bar top,
Right.
that you actually drink upon, we had brought it in backwards,
Oh, no.
it was facing the wrong way, and we couldn't spin it because it's longer than the room is wide. So we actually had to stop traffic in the middle of the afternoon, like at 4:00 in the afternoon at that intersection at 3rd and Douglas. We had to stop traffic, walk it out into 3rd Street, spin it, and then walk it back in. I wish we had video of it because that would have been incredible.
That would have been fun video just to see the people stopping for the bar spin.
Yeah. So there was a lot of people who just stopped in their tracks and like, what the hell is going on out here? So,
well, I that kind of alludes to what I think is really cool about your shop, about your joint, since you've opened it, is this mix of history that goes with it. And if people remember that met you when you first opened, you weren't even going for a bar in the beginning. You were a retail shop.
Yeah, exactly.
You wanted people to be able to buy the things to create the home bars, the basement bars that Grandma and Grandpa used to have.
Absolutely. I was trying to re-envision the liquor store experience, but also, I based it on a lot of family memories. Everyone in my family had their own little niche, a little quarter in the house or a little basement bar that was their own. It was special, they love showing it off. And that's, birthdays, weddings, funerals. I mean, every holidays, everything revolved around that bar wherever you were at.
Right.
So, I wanted to try to capture that feeling and put it out there in the world for people to either learn from it and try to recreate their own, or at least, or maybe just have a cool place to hang out. So
I think people have been. I mean, obviously people keep coming because you were able to grow.
Yeah.
But I think people too are like, and I know it's a national thing where cocktails are big again.
Yeah.
But I think people have been inspired, like, oh, I'm going to go try to make something like that.
Yeah, I think, and that was the goal. And I want people to be able to make something that they're really going to enjoy, and also be able to show off to their friends, like, look what I can make, and I know the little bit of thumbnail history of where this came from. It's just kind of bringing back something that's I don't know, something that you can touch, something that's real, something it's a conversation starter and gets people off their phone. It's just, I don't know. It's just something that I think is important.
I'm going to say this. I think that I see fewer people on their phones in your bar than any other establishment around.
That's rule number one, except for keep your feet off the furniture.
How often do you have to enforce that rule?
Oh, you have no idea. It's crazy that people, I think it's not because people are being rude. It's because it's a lounge. They feel really comfortable and relaxed, and it's easy going. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to kick my shoes off and throw my feet up on the couch. And I'm like, hey man, other people are going to sit there.
And that's really nice leather.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. It's custom made.
Well, okay, that's the thing I was going to go to next. Is okay. So you went down rabbit holes to find stuff to create your own home bars. Then you went down rabbit holes to find new bars to actually put in there.
Yeah.
And then you find this guy that just makes this amazing furniture for bars and has made it for some pretty impressive clients too.
Yeah. His resume is pretty darn impressive. He the one that got me was he made all the leather furniture for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that as soon as I read that, I just melted. I was like, it doesn't matter what it costs, I have to have it now.
Take my money.
Yeah. Here's the keys to my car, whatever it takes, man. And he did. He produced some beautiful pieces of furniture that are, I mean, if I'm lucky enough to have a piece of this furniture when I'm old and be able to hand it down to, my son. And I mean, this is generational kind of furniture.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's green leather. It's hand dyed. I mean, it's insane. We shouldn't even have bought it for a bar. It's, I hover around it like a, I don't know, mother goose.
Now to be fair, you hover around most things in your bar like a mother goose.
That's true. Everything but for good reason. Everything in the bar has a story, and everything in the bar is legit antique or was handcrafted by, an artisan of some sort. So, I take it seriously. I want people to enjoy the experience and absorb the kind of curated artifacts that I've found and put in here for their amusement and for, so yeah, I do hover.
How important, or I guess why is it important for you to have all of that? Like you said, I mean, everything is kind of handcrafted. Everything's got a story. Why is it such a big deal to you in your bar? Because, there are a lot of bars that are just bars. There are a lot of bars that make a lot of money by just having cheap tchotchke everywhere, right?
That's true. That's 100% true. To me, it's more important to be genuine. And when my guests come in and they see that I've put in the effort to go out and find a 1950 Frigidaire refrigerator and fill it up with beer that they remember their grandpa drinking, it elicits a memory. It elicits a feeling. Whereas if I had gone out and just bought a refrigerator and just stuck it over in the corner and there's no style, there's no flair, there's nothing to it, and it just has some beer in it, it doesn't spark that connection. It's the difference between like service and hospitality. Service is something that you do. Hospitality is how you make your guest feel. And that's always important to me is I want people to feel a certain way. I want them to put their phone down and have a conversation, talk about, oh, my grandpa used to drink this beer. And then it spurs on other conversation and other stories and memories and stuff like that. So that at the core is what Libations and Company is an experience. And, I don't know. It's just, it's deeper than that. I could make a bar. I could just, throw, posters up on the wall, but that doesn't do anything. It doesn't elicit a response.
The experience is more important.
The experience
or equal.
The experience needs to equal the quality of the cocktail in your hand. I think that, sipping a delicious cocktail, telling stories about your childhood or your parents or whatever comes to mind when you're here, that is the essence of being in a bar, is enjoying someone else's company and really taking in the experience.
Do you feel like you've hit the vision, the experience that you want, or is there more in your head you haven't made happen yet? And I feel like I know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, the 1909 Club has really been kind of the next evolution of my vision. Seeing that 2-story building on the corner when I first came down here and created what was the first, generation of Libations and Company, I immediately had this vision of, music notes pouring out of those windows and neon, the color of neon lights. And I've been lucky enough with my business partner and friend to create that. But yeah, there's other stuff on the horizon. I want to continue to enrich the live music experience. We're booking, some of the absolute best blues and jazz and soul and R&B artists in Kansas City, but not just Kansas City. We have artists from Chicago and Omaha and Nashville and St. Louis. And it's really turning into something really, really special, because it's not it's not live music in the sense of where there's live music going on and you're just like, hey, let's pop in and listen to some live music and have a drink. That experience is great, but what we wanted to create is something beyond that experience. Just like what we do in Libations and Company, where we elicit, a feeling. When you purchase a ticket to the 1909 Club, you are purchasing a seat for a performance, just like you would, in essence, if you were buying a ticket to the symphony or like a concert. You're going to see a singular thing.
To me, it's like when you watch the movies and you see, the old movies and you see like people buy tickets to the Copa Club or what, you know what I mean? Like
exactly that exact feeling and that exact performance is what we wanted to recreate. Or we wanted, it's a small room filled with beautiful furniture, and we've invested a lot of time and money into the, technical side of it, so it sounds great. And you're getting to have an intimate experience with a musician,
which to me is quite the feat to make that sound as good as it does in an old brick building with 10 tiles on the ceiling. And I mean,
it was not easy, but like anything, we dove down the rabbit hole. I mean, we had people from the theater companies in Kansas City come out and look at the room with us and give us advice on what materials would work best. And we take it seriously, but not too seriously. We want to really create something that's just fun and exciting to be a part of.
Have you had a favorite favorite show there yet?
Oh man, I tell you what, a couple weeks ago, it was kind of one of those moments where I just sat down and stopped worrying about, the world around me and just absorbed this experience. We were lucky enough to have a man named Willie Buck come down from Chicago. He's 86, 87 years old. One of the last recording artists for Chess Records, which if you're a music fan, you hear Chess Records and your eyebrows go up because everybody who's, a music, legend recorded with Chess, Muddy Waters. I mean, the list goes insanely long, but this guy was a performer with Chess Records, and he performed with some of the absolute greatest musicians that have ever walked the earth. And I got to see him do his thing in my joint. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was almost surreal.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I kind of want to swing back around.
Okay.
Because we started with Washington's Fish House Punch, which is a rum punch.
Yes.
Of sorts.
It punches you, that's for sure.
It really does. And it is, since you showed me the book,
yeah,
that you pulled it from and gave me the recipe, I've made that almost every year for our giant family gathering.
Nice. Are they all still alive?
They are.
Okay, great.
They are. We have we've dubbed it Freedom.
Freedom
has been its name.
How do you spell that? Is it DUMB?
We thought about that. We did think about that. Our tagline has been, "For every shot you take, a red coat falls."
Oh, well, hey, then drink up.
Sorry to my partner in the other show, Nigel.
No, well,
who is a Brit.
Yeah, he'll get over it.
This year, I'm going to take a break from it, and I'm going to make something different. And our family gathers the undeveloped side of Lake of the Ozarks every year, so we embrace the full Ozarkiness. So this year, we've made a little something different.
All right.
You've heard of Tequila Sunrise?
Yeah. What you have is glowing. So
we call this Ozark Sunrise. And the idea was to really, like I said, embrace the Ozark heritage of, look, it's not fancy.
No.
There's no pinky extension when you have this drink.
You may not have a pinky.
So here's the only part I'm going to tell you before I pour you a little taster of. This is my test batch one.
Okay.
It's made with Tang.
Ooh, I like Tang.
I mean, you talk about going nostalgia and things that bring you back. When I say Tang,
yeah,
that takes you to a certain point in life.
I'm riding a BMX bike in my mind right now.
So I'm going to pour you a little drink of this.
Okay.
And I want to know what you think. And it's a grown-up version of your Tang.
Yeah. I love Tang.
By the way, no smoke arose as I took the cap off. Pouring left-handed is hard.
Yeah.
Get around the cables.
Ooh, has a nice bouquet of Tang. That smells delicious. I do have to admit.
I have long lobbied to have my own drink at Libations. And you have denied me for many years.
The timing's just not right. We got to find
my timing is never right.
It has to be a spark where we both lock eyes and now's the time. I tell you what, this could be it right here.
This is what we have referred to. It is dock dangerous. So when you're hanging on the dock and you're drinking this,
I think even on dry land, you should wear a life jacket when you drink this.
It's it packs a little bit of a punch.
Yet it's
drinkable.
It is remarkably smooth, delightfully dangerous, and yet sophisticated.
Sophisticated is not a word my wife or I have come up with to when describing this drink.
Yeah, I was just being silly. There's no sophistication here.
So it's Tang, vodka,
Of course.
limoncello.
Yeah.
So a little. I want to be fancy, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of like I'm at Lake of the Ozarks, but I bought a giant boat.
Yeah, well, I'm following you.
And then to really give it that little extra, the juice from a jar of maraschino cherries.
Hey.
But not good cherries. We're not buying Luxardo for this.
Yeah, we're talking about Atomic.
This is like Hy-Vee brand.
Atomic red cherries. Hey, I get it. You know what? You pour this like in a big jar of like a mason. You really need to drink this out of a mason jar.
I make this in my giant igloo cooler with the spigot on the end.
Okay, that seems appropriate because you can't. You've got to mix this with your hand.
No giant metal spoon. Mm-mm. Just reach in with your paw.
Yeah,
and stir that thing up.
I mean, if we're going full Ozarks, and no offense to anyone in the Ozarks, I used to live in the Ozarks, so this is dangerously delicious. It certainly tastes like I'm not going to get much work done today.
I feel like this could be a batched drink during festival season.
Oh yeah, that's a really good idea.
Speaking of which, you were doing Pim's Cups.
Yep.
During downtown days.
First time we've ever done that. It was actually a pretty cool.
I've never thought about big batching that.
It was remarkably easy, and it was fun. We had a lot of newcomers, a lot of people who just didn't know what Libations was, who dipped in and saw the sign, and they were like, hey, what's a Pim's Cup? And got to tell them what it was, and they drank one and really liked it and came back for more. So that was pretty cool.
That may be my second favorite refresher beverage at Libations.
That's an easy one to just crush. I mean, you can just
on a hot day, like in the middle of the festival. It was hot this year.
Oh yeah. Well,
that or I like your take on the Tom Collins, the Boss Tom.
Yep, Mr. Boss Tom, named lovingly after Kansas City's Tom Pendergast. Got to give a little love to the guy that kept things rolling in KC.
Since as we wrap up here, since we're looking ahead to the July 4th week.
Yep.
Will Libations be open on July 4th?
What day is July 4th?
That's a Thursday.
Thursday? Yeah, we'll be open.
Is there a special musical guest upstairs? Or
No, not on Thursdays. I really wish I could make that happen, but no, I'm not getting ready. I don't get to drop any cool knowledge on this.
I always try to get the breaking news.
Yeah.
But I think you said you're not there yet. So we just had, last weekend, the inaugural Lee Summit Jazz Festival.
Yes.
Which turned out wonderful. We had, I think, almost 950 people attended.
That was awesome.
Which is really cool. The Libations and Company truck was parked out back. You were one of the many sponsors helping make this happen. Where do you think Lee Summit is right now as a big growing piece of the KC jazz scene?
I think it is really interesting to see the reaction I get from customers realizing there's a jazz club in downtown Lee Summit. Because not necessarily because they're surprised that it exists, they're excited that it exists. While there are some wonderful clubs in Kansas City, the drive from Lee Summit to downtown Kansas City to a club and having a couple of cocktails and then driving home, that creates, a bit of anxiety. So knowing that they can make the short trip to their own downtown and see the same level of talent and quality of atmosphere right here in downtown Lee Summit, people are really reacting, very positively to it. And I think seeing the turnout for the Jazz Fest really shows that there's a big population of people in Lee Summit and around Lee Summit who are music lovers and really appreciate the effort that's going into bringing that kind of talent to be available to be seen here in Lee Summit. So I think we've got an exciting future for live music in Lee Summit.
I was so curious to see how it would turn out at the festival, and big thanks to Ben Rayo who made it happen, but for inviting me along with my buddy Ron Dyer to MC the day, to see all these acts, and then to see all the people that showed up. I mean, I had no idea, and I think post-COVID, we all know it is hard to predict who's going to show up to what, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just planning events is harder now, I think. Most people don't plan ahead of time anymore. It's just you wait and see who shows up.
Yeah.
And to have almost 950 people throughout the day was just incredible. And the acts, starting with some students in the beginning, all the way through to the back alley brass band who, has been around for a long time and are amazing.
Sure.
I mean, the acts were all great.
Yeah. A lot of the performers that performed Jazz Fest have come through and performed on our stage, and you're right. I mean, the caliber of musician that performed at the Jazz Fest was incredible. I mean, some of the best that we have in Kansas City, and no, I was really excited to see the turnout. I popped up there a few times and as I had time, and I was really excited about all the faces that I saw. It was a cool event. I think it was really well done, and I think next year I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Hopefully I want to it was pretty full in that lot at the end.
Yeah.
I want to see that most of the day next time.
Yeah. Well,
and look, it was 1,000 degrees outside.
I think people will learn how to adapt to that situation. You gotta bring that umbrella. You gotta stay hydrated.
Did you happen to see the one group that had obviously procured from some bar patio somewhere the giant umbrella?
I did see that from afar. You could see that from
from space.
Yeah. Hey, that's a smart idea though.
No. We made sure to call out the smart people out there who had come prepared with their umbrellas, and
absolutely,
we were judging the umbrella game actually.
Yeah, you really gotta step up your umbrella game.
Right. Well, Seth, hey, thanks for coming back on. Congratulations on the growing business.
Thank you.
Libations Company, fantastic bar, 1909 Club, right above there. You want to catch some live music? What a great joint.
I appreciate the time and the shout out, and of course this shot of Ozark Tang.
That'll wrap us up for this week. We'll talk to everybody next time.